Hi everybody. For this video I want to practice and talk about how to package your files for print, and then also go through some of the steps and things to do to fix your PDF files and make sure they're ready to go. So I have here one of my comic books that I'm going to use as an example, and I've already completed all of my pre-flight steps. I've checked for spelling errors, I've run my pre-flight profile, so now I know that there are no errors in my document and it's ready to go. I've also checked and made sure that it's print ready, so it's got bleeds and it's the right size and all that stuff, making sure that it's ready to go. So packaging your file is a really important thing to do when you're working on InDesign projects, because your file usually contains links from various folders on your hard drive and from other locations on different disks and downloads. You have all these different assets related to your InDesign file spread out all over your computer. If you're going to archive or if you're going to transfer this file to someone else, it's always a good idea to make a package copy of your work. So under the File menu, you can go to Package. And so Package is one of those things that you want to do to collect all those things that you need. So in this case, this little summary tells me that it's going to look for and collect all of the fonts that were used by the document. That's really important. I want to make sure that I collect all those together. Probably one of the most annoying things that happens to you when you're working with InDesign is you'll have various fonts that you use at different times, and when you go back and open up that file again, for some reason or another that font is missing or something got lost. So it's always a good idea to make a copy, a packaged file that has all those fonts with it, especially if you're going to share this with somebody else. They're going to need those fonts too. So InDesign is real handy at collecting those for you. Links and images. So it's going to collect every linked image and put it into a new folder for you. Really handy. It can also collect other important commercial printing data. Don't really need to go into it right now, but whether it's specific print settings or ICC profiles or other things like that, it can put them in there. Alright, so I'm going to do this package deal here. I'm going to tell it where to save it. Send it to my desktop, for example. And I'm just going to click, well, I'm not going to hit package just yet because I'm going to make sure these little check boxes are selected. Another really handy thing is InDesign makes an IDML file, which is a backward compatible InDesign file. For some reason or another, InDesign is one of those programs that if you're out of the InDesign version, it doesn't want to open your file anymore. Photoshop, Illustrator, they're a little more compatible, but for some reason InDesign isn't very good at backward and forward compatibility. So it's always good to have an IDML file. That way, if you have this opened on an older version or a new version, you're sure that it's going to work. The other thing that InDesign can do here is make a PDF copy for you, and then you'll have a packaged PDF copy as well. So if I click Package, then I can ignore the little warning and then click OK. So now InDesign is going to go through the process of collecting all those things and putting them into a little folder that I can archive and use later on. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here just to move on. So another process that is important for us to practice is going to be setting up a PDF copy. Now, packaging is definitely something for archiving and transferring to other people, but making a PDF copy is really important, and there are different types of PDFs you can make. So let's look at some of the main settings. Now, under the File menu, you have different PDF presets. So InDesign already has some predetermined settings that you could pick, from high quality to some old original versions of PDF to press quality, small file size. The default generally is high quality print, because most of the time you want a versatile PDF that can be printed and displayed. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And it wants to ask me where to save it, so I'll put it on my desktop. Click Save. Then I get into some of the questions and details that show up. Typically, you can use the preset and just leave it as is, but there are a couple settings I'm going to point out here that might be helpful. First one, on the main page under General, you're going to find pages. You know, how many pages are you going to include in your document? Sometimes you don't want all of the pages in your document, so you can customize that. Rarely you might run into a situation where you have hyperlinks or other interactive elements. You need to check these boxes and make sure that those are there, but most of the time you're going to ignore that. Let's go to compression. Now, we know that for print, our document needs to be 300 dpi. So these typical compression settings are correct. It's got a minimum of 300 on those, and then down here at the bottom under monochromatic it's got 1200. The default usually works. You just want to make sure that you're 300 there. That way you know that it's print ready. Now, one word about compression is when it's 300, that means the file size is bigger. It means your PDF is a bigger file. If I'm just sending this to somebody to look at online and download, I can lower that number to like 100 or 72, and that's going to make my PDF much smaller. Okay, marks and bleeds is the next column, and here we have crop marks and bleeds and registration marks. These are all important, especially if this is going to press. I need to be able to select crop marks. I need to increase my bleed area so that the image area extends beyond the edge of the page. Those are important settings. Those are the minimum ones you want to have on there. Output. Now this is where you can adjust the color. This is your last chance to change your color and make sure that it's ready for print. Sometimes what I'll do is use convert to destination, and then I'm going to use, for this example, I'm going to scroll through this big long list, and I'm going to look for working CMYK. What does that do? That actually converts all the embedded images into CMYK. That's really helpful, especially when I'm trying to get this thing ready for print. Advanced, I could put security features on this, a password protect, things like that embedded into this. But for now, when that's ready, I would hit export, and then it would send my file to my desktop where I saved it. Most of the time, you're trying to make a file that is print ready, but I have found it necessary to make two PDFs. If I need one that I can email and share online, it's going to be a smaller file. If I'm going to send it to press, I need the higher quality version. And you should be prepared to save two copies so that you have both. All right, that's a basic rundown of setting up your file for packaging and creating PDFs. All right, see you around.